Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Today we wanted to kind of debunk a common theory or a common myth that we feel like is a big misconception out there, and that's landscape fabric, or some people call it weed fabric. And what it basically is it's a fabric that you put inside of your landscaping. And the concept is that if you have your landscape beds and then your plants, and then this goes all the way around it, and it's supposed to prevent weeds from growing up. In theory, it makes perfect sense, but the reality is that at the end of the day, it's not worth it. Number one, unless you're installing the fabric into the beds when the beds are initially installed, it's a royal pain in the butt to actually get this in. And then you've got the void areas around the base of the plants that still are going to allow weeds to come up. The next thing is that, as you can very well see, it's not super thick. So after about 6 months, the weed fabric typically starts to break down, and it'll start to have little periods where you have penetration of weeds. Now, some of the more unthought of reasons or unspoken reasons why it's no good is that, number one, it really hinders the transfer of water, rainwater, irrigation water, from getting down into the roots. A lot of people think that they've got to water their plants, but in all reality, you want the water to get to the roots, okay? Plants are a living thing. They're just like us. They've got to eat, they've got to drink, and they've got to breathe. That's another thing that the weed fabric really hampers, is the oxygen transfer from the air and the atmosphere into the soil, which is going to make it into the roots, which is just going to benefit the plants. Not to mention, a second ago, food. If you're fertilizing your beds like you should, when you have this fabric, everything's going to be really hampered and slowed, and the effects are going to be diminished greatly and prevent the plants from being able to get everything that it needs. Now, another thing is that this landscape fabric, after a little bit of time and just naturally being there, you start to get a barrier of some dirt and debris that builds up on top of the fabric. And as you all very well know and have seen, I'm sure, it doesn't take much soil for weeds to grow in. So after 6 months to a year, you're going to start getting weeds that grow actually on top of the fabric. And then as it starts to break down and you get frustrated with it, or you want to change it out, it just starts falling apart and crumbling. It's a royal pain in the butt to get out of the beds and get replaced. So we always tell people that it's not really worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. The landscape fabric at the end of the day is going to do more harm than good. It might prevent you from having to pull as many weeds initially, but it's not as good for your plants and the overall health of your landscape. So I hope that kind of clears up some questions or some misconceptions. We are not a fan of landscape fabric. We encourage people not to do it. And unfortunately, that means you're just going to get out there and pull some weeds. So if you got any questions, need any suggestions, feel free to reach out. We look forward to hearing from you.